And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This vlogcast comes as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because I'm getting really sick and tired, and I don't know if it's Discord or if it's NVIDIA, but those of you that can't see my my side panel, which is where I've got Discord running right now, it's flickering off and on like crazy right now, and it doesn't show up for you guys. It's only for me. Thanks, Discord. Appreciate it. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin, and you can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujin. Hi. And for those of you that are watching right now and don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. And if you are watching and you notice that letters are floating around on the screen right about now, yeah, there's a reason for that. Let me go ahead and introduce you to not exactly just me tonight, which is actually rather helpful. Moving to the Midwest of the U.S., making a special time guest appearance, Brigid Fitch gets to show up. Hi!
Hey, work finally I'm off tomorrow, so here I be.
And chiming in from somewhere on the left coast, give or take, Io just made it literally as the gun fired. Hi, hon.
Hi. I'm literally on the wet coast because it is raining where I'm at. And let me put it this way. Everybody was saying, welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. And I had tears coming down my face. Welcome home.
So it's good to be back with y'all. So
Yes,
yeah,
I made it. I can only say hi because I have to get back on the SkyTrain and then take the Canada line and head back to the hotel. And that's all I'm saying. So, yeah. I'm currently at a good friend's place, and she is absolutely wonderful, and I haven't seen her in forever. And she's getting ready to drive me back to the SkyTrain.
fair enough. When do you have to leave?
I won't be able to do the scopes.
Okay. We'll drag out just a little bit longer and have you kick off before you have to worry about that. How's that?
I forgot about the scope.
Yeah, I know. And
Where are they at? I forgot.
I can't even read the scopes anyway because I don't have them linked right now because I'm on major data and
Perfectly understandable. And Brigid, if you open up your usual web browser of choice, you should be able to find it just by hitting horrible. It should auto-populate. And if it doesn't, it's somewhere in the host chat on Discord. Just scroll backwards a little bit. It's in there if I don't already have it pinned.
I got it. I had to clear my cookie stash and all that stuff because my Chrome kept running out of memory, and I was like,
fair enough.
yeah, I asked my friend if I could use her computer and podcast from her place, and she said no. She is currently moving about a terabyte worth of music onto a 2 terabyte drive for us, and I'll be picking it up tomorrow.
That's perfectly understandable and reasonable. Yeah. I understand that because that's the capacity for the music on Hex. So,
oh, lovely.
Yes. So anyway, everybody, of course, as always, thank you for joining us. If you do decide that you want to be around with us in this insanity as we do this live over on YouTube, feel free to join us because you can be part of the live chat over there, which means Felis showed up a little while ago. Stephanie, who let me know that time zones have changed. Sorry, I didn't realize that. Actually, the thing of it is, it doesn't change for us just yet, so we are actually UTC still 4. So we gotta.
I'm UTC 8, so you'd be UTC 5.
5? Yeah, 5 because then it's no. Wait, whatever. It is what it is, and it's gonna change eventually. I can't do math right now. It's been one of those days. at the tail end of one of those weeks.
Anyway, I am going to say bye-bye. If I can get back on the train ride, because I do have Wi-Fi and net there, SkyTrain and Canaline, but it's really noisy, and I'm not sure if I should be talking over screech, chuck, 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 screech.
Not to worry about it. Besides, you got plenty of stuff to look at. I'm sure there are moose that you could watch and gape at as you go by, and you go, moose!
No, not moose, but lots and lots of maple leaves. Welcome home. Welcome home. Tears.
Yeah, Harvey's isn't
Even if
closed
it's for
just
a
yet.
second.
Sorry?
I was telling Io it's good to see you, even if it's just for a second.
Same, Bridge. Miss you much.
Aw,
Go give him hell for me.
I will.
Don't you give me that look.
Meant
Don't you,
me.
don't you give me that look. Don't. I can fire up a camera right now. And I can wag my finger at you.
Shoo. All right. Shoo.
Bye. Bye, Brigid. Bye, Felis. Even though I can't see the chat screen.
And Stephanie.
Give him hell. Oh, yes, Stephanie. Can't forget Stephanie.
We'll see you later, hon. Take care. Well, I guess I was right. I wasn't going to be able to join us. Yeah, there was question marks as to whether or not she was going to be able to join us, because she is traveling up Canada way, which means, will be what it will be. And it's all good. So let's see what was going on over there on the chat. Stephanie, doing some painting. Good. Enjoy huffing those fumes. And all that insulation I paid for is worth every penny. Yeah. Yeah, I totally get you there. And of course, everybody saying, I don't know if you're watching what's going on with the YouTube chat, but you are getting lots and lots and lots of good to see you again. Brigid, that meaning you.
Oh.
So, how about we get things rolling, and we see where this takes us. Because I already kind of gave Brigid some heads up on the freestyle for reasons. So this is one of the few times where somebody actually has a heads up on how this is going to play out. So let me get you going over here with 5 minutes on the clock. Your 5-minute freestyle starts right now. I've labeled this one BIZZARO. Now, there's a couple of things. Over in the show notes, I've got listed in there a line that a buddy of mine said. I asked him if I could quote him and name him. He did say it was okay, but you know what? I'm not going to name him. But he's a great guy. He took the spin on the whole, the greatest. I've forgotten exactly how the thing was worded. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he didn't exist. At least if memory serves, that's how the original goes, which dates back sometime to the mid-1800s, as I recall, from what little I looked up. But the version that he gave me was great and got me to thinking and kind of inspired this week. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that God exists. And that one really put a heavy-duty spin on everything for me, because it's like, well, that's okay, that's cute, that's funny. Hold up a minute. But now it's trying to figure out, can you even square that circle? Is there a way to make this functionally work? Because theoretically, you can't have a devil without God, at least according to most mythos, or at least the functional equivalent. You can't have God without a devil, because you need that supposed dichotomy, that yin and yang, that good versus evil, the Hatfields versus the McCoys, which doesn't really translate as well, the Shadows and the Vorlons. You know, they're supposed to be always the two to keep things in balance. Like I said, supposed to be. So when he threw this one out at me, I had a little bit of fun in my own head trying to figure out, well, you know, how well does that work? But then it got my head remembering back to an argument that I had, a thought that I had literally years ago. Back to the original time of campaigning for, quote unquote, the former guy. Trying to figure out at the time why he was as bad as he was, why he was behaving the way that he was, and through the continuation of his presidency. Now, there are plenty of reasons to think that Donald Trump is a horrific waste of the 17% oxygen, 17? Whatever the case is, of this world. But there's another piece of it that I've been questioning for years, literal years, about this all. What if, and just follow me a second, what if he's actually smarter about this than we've ever given him credit for? Now, I know there's a lot of people that are, you know, poo-pooing this straight out the bat. I get that. But consider this a second. As horrible a personality as he has been and shown himself to be, what if this whole thing, this political thing, this whole thing has just been one long con from the get-go? What if it's a matter that he has invested whatever meager resources he's been able to use of his own and put this all together and made himself as disagreeable a personality as possible, as egregious a scumbag as one could hope to show themselves to be, worse than what their public persona already is? What if this entire time it's just been one big martyr opportunity? And people will obviously say that's impossible because nobody would go ahead and vote for somebody like that. He is the Bill the Cat of politics right now. He is the most disagreeable, the most unlovable, and yet, what is more worrying? The idea that I'm right, or the idea that he truly, truly is as bad as we collectively know that he is, and that give or take a third of my country thinks that's okay? Truly, I don't know. I don't know what is the worst possibility on this one. You know, like I said, Brigid and I were kind of talking a little bit about this one. And you know, it literally just came. Brigid, you remember of course Bloom County, still kind of, sort of still in production a little bit. New cartoons show up every once in a while whenever he feels like, you know, doing them like once a week or something like that. Do you remember Bill the Cat?
Yes, I actually had a cat named Bill the Cat.
Yeah, but in Bloom County, Bill the Cat was when he introduced Bill in the comic strip. Literally, I forget which one of the characters it was. Literally pointed out how bill was supposed to be the most unappealing, the most brain dead, the with no redeeming qualities whatsoever, with the idea that he would be an absolutely unlovable personality that could never be monetized with like a plushie.
I think it was a pink one.
And yet, you know, so, you know, I don't know. Man, I don't want to think that I've actually got something on this one. I've said many a time, you know, I'm most assuredly not the most intelligent personality in the room by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not well read, I'm not well educated, but I listen, I watch, but oh man, I really, really don't want to be right. Everybody wants to be right about everything. I don't want to be right. You know? Just gives me just creeper shivers down my back. Really don't like this one. Stephanie's got a thing over here. Have you seen the latest Harris election advert? Catches the felon as he truly is using his quotes. He ends up in a care home for the senile demented. I believe there is an expression, from your mouth to God's ear. I'm sure we've never used that expression on the show before because, I mean, we normally wouldn't, but I'm sure it qualifies in this case, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's from your lips to God's ear.
What did I say?
Mouth.
You know what? Sure. Yeah, shows you how often I use that expression, which means never, because bad. So let's go ahead and get everything rolling over here. It's time for the horrible scopes. So for those of you that know what your astrological sign is, cool. Those of you that don't, you can make it up as you go along. Rock, paper, scissors, Derringer. Nobody likes it when I play Derringer mode because I always win. They don't know what to do with that. But of course, if you want to roll one of those D12s with cute little squiggles on it, you can get in touch with friend of the show, Heart of the Game Fredonia. Find them over there on Facebook. They'll sell it to you. And if you're in the US, they can even ship it to you. If you're not, you have to find a mule to bring it through airport security, I guess. I don't recommend that, though.
Rock, paper, scissors. Why does paper win? Because if you hold up a sheet of paper and you throw a rock at it, I mean, I'm just saying.
I mean, paper can be rolled up and put dynamite in it. Because the paper tube. I don't know. I don't know. Heart of the Game Fredonia. They'll sell it to you. And, of course, let them know that we sent you and the Horrible Scopes did. It's Hail, Hail, Fredonia, home of the Blue Devil. Remember, it's the shop that's supposed to have a mimic in the window behind a locked door. It's supposed to be locked. They've assured me it's locked. I didn't check. So you're on your own. So this week, everything old is new again. It doesn't mean it's good or that it's quality, but this week, we're helping you realize that you can be inspired from the past to get things working again. So ditch your worries about coming up with new ideas and creatively acquire some old ones. But try to do it better than some of the following selections. Aries. Originally composed in 1943 by Aaron Copland, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Brigid, I'm pretty sure that you're going to recognize this one. Emerson, Lake and Palmer recorded a version of Fanfare for the Common Man in 1977, which was quite the hit. Apparently, Copland himself objected to the extended keyboard solo that forms the last half of the album version. So because of that, his estate has put a ban on people covering it anymore. So this week, It is an amazing musical experience. Go see a symphony orchestra performing it sometime before the end of the year.
Chorus. Keeping the spirit of musical reinvigoration alive, let's get you to a song that was written by Irving Berlin, May 1927, but got a new lease on life twice. The first was almost 50 years ago, 50 years later, when performed by Gene Wilder and Peter Boyle in the film Young Frankenstein in 1974. And then 1982, Dutch musician Taco brought it back to the pop circles with his Pop Scent edition. So this week, the original song is almost a century old. Start planning for its birthday now.
Yeah, Io gave me crap about that one because I didn't mention the name of the song. We have collectively agreed, if you don't know what song it is, you need to rewatch Young Frankenstein. It is that time of the year. Gemini. Let's go heavy recreation shift this time. Pictures at an Exhibition was written in 1874 by Russian composer Modest Mussorgsky and is a longer piece having 10 movements. But if you want to really bend your understanding of how it could sound, may we suggest finding the electronic music adaptation by Isao Tomita, done in 1975. It has all the hallmarks of sounding like it could be the soundtrack of a 1970s sci-fi psychedelia movie. So this week, put this piece on while you watch the 1976 movie Logan's Run and tell us it doesn't just fit. And as an aside, yes, you can find that piece on YouTube. It's a great piece. Not necessarily Logan's Run, but yeah.
Cancer Moonchild. We'd be totally wrong for leaving out one of the most iconic of classical pieces and its most famous modern cover. So, of course, it's time to mention A Fifth of Beethoven, as recorded by Walter Murphy and the Big Apple Band in 1976. Naturally, you should know that it was adapted from Beethoven's Symphony No. 5, written between 1804 and 8, meaning it took over 160 years for disco to catch up to Beethoven's success. So this week, if you want to be a hit with the right masses, consider recreating something that's about 150 years old. It just might work.
Leo, let's not stop with just one disco recreation because we've got another for you. David Shire arranged a new version of another Mussorgsky classic from 1867. 110 years later, gave us Night on Disco Mountain in 1977. Yes, these two were specifically for a movie soundtrack, but they got lots of radio play back in the day too. And, best of all, no royalties to the original composer since, kinda not around anymore. So this week, you claim to not like disco, but we've seen the sequin-encrusted chunky heel shoes you've got in the back of your closet. Let your freak flag fly this Halloween. The world deserves to see.
Virgo. So much a music as a film and not with a happy ending. You remember a writer and illustrator named Theodore Seuss Geisel? Yes, that is Dr. Seuss's real name. And you know what 50 years later modern recreation of his works that ended poorly? The Cat in the Hat starring Mike Myers, reminding you that the live action version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas was a hit 3 years before. His estate hated this rendition so much that they've stopped authorizing any new reimagining works on his projects. So this week, try to stick closer to the script. If it fails, you could always blame the writers.
Yeah, and again, Io pointed out it was a little ambiguous there. We're talking about the Cat in the Hat movie was just that bad. And anybody that doesn't realize that has never seen any clips from Mike Myers being the Cat in the Hat. It really was worse than you think it was. Libra, let's get back to music again. For you, we're not only suggesting a song to hear, but reminding you of how to spell it. The song in question is Saber Dance, a movement in the final act of Aram Khachaturian's ballet Gayane from 1942. Yes, this is a fairly new addition to the list, but it is still worthy because in 1991, in a concert in Spain, Dave Edmunds played the song on electric guitar and totally killed it. You should look that one up on YouTube sometime. So this week, only 50 years later this time. See, Libra, we bring you the fresh new stuff when we can. And remember, it is spelled S-A-B-R-E.
Scorpio. One of the most popular singer-songwriters in the late 1970s and 80s, a one living legend, Mr. Billy Joel. His chorus from his song This Night from 1983 was taken from another Beethoven piece, Pathetique Sonata, from 1798, meaning nearly 200 years old. So this week, even legends deserve a little help once in a while. There's only 88 keys on a piano. You can expect someone to repeat something eventually.
Somebody actually used that excuse one time. There's only 88 keys on a keyboard. I mean, you're gonna repeat something sooner or later.
I guess there's a point there.
Sagittarius, this time it's all 20th century, both the original and the cover. In 1901, just into the century, Rachmaninoff created Piano Concerto No. 2 in C minor, which was, let's call it, borrowed by Eric Carmen in 1975 for his song All by Myself. There was a whole to-do discussing the influences and the inspiration and the possibility of plagiarism. And there was a settlement in it all, fortunately. So this week, there's nothing wrong with letting someone have co-writing credit on your stuff if you used their stuff. Try not to use something that's visible next time, meaning learn to be a better thief.
Capricorn. We don't need to tell you what modern songs have been accused, usually correctly, for having been recreations of the original. You'll get it. Originally from 1690, Pachelbel's Canon in D. You know the song. You know the rant by Rob Paravonian. So this week, screw you, Johann. On behalf of every cello player, screw you, man.
Yeah, everybody knows. Even if you don't remember it by name, you know it as soon as you hear it. Come on.
Yep.
Cello players could literally play it in their sleep. And I knew one who used to play side saddle because she used to wear a mini skirt because it was the 80s. Leave me alone. Aquarius. Okay, this time we're actually caught off guard. Remember that Elvis Presley did a lot of cover songs, but how about this one? His 1960 single, It's Now or Never, can be traced back to 1898's O Sole Mio by Eduardo de Capua. Yeah, you just mentally sang both songs in your head, didn't you? Yeah, we had to too. So this week, learn to sing at least one song in a language you don't normally speak, something other than Latin, at least. And remember, opera was written because Italian is a thing.
Sees another song with a modern cover, which itself has a cover twist. Barry Manilow released his song Could It Be Magic in 1975, which was based on Chopin's 1835 song Prelude in C minor number 20. And now, as Dalan puts it often, but wait, it gets better. Barry's version itself is a cover of a cover. The song was initially released in 1971 by a group called Featherbed, which was a group of session musicians featuring Barry Manilow. And the song was produced and co-written by Tony Orlando of and Dawn fame. So this week, stop staring into infinity mirrors. They starting to stare back at you.
You know, when I was doing my homework on this one, those last two really, really did catch me by surprise. And that last one, Barry Manilow, I mean, I knew that the song was like a classical piece originally. I did not know about it being a cover of a cover. I had no idea about that. That blew my mind. And now I've got a new song that I have to track down for my collection. Those are your horrible scopes for this week. Remember, if you like what you got, I don't care. You got what you paid for, and since you didn't pay for anything, you don't bitch at me. But of course, if you'd like to get something nicer or naughtier for yourself or someone else, you can ask, because I operate very heavily on vanity. Or of course, if you literally want to bribe me, you can go over to the coffee page, coffee.com/Icarus the Lunar Guard. I'll have these posted online at the end of the week as usual. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, BlueSky. I apologize for missing a day posting this past week, because I was running on fumes, like from the middle of the day Thursday, and I passed out really hard Thursday night instead of getting all the stuff done. So like I said, you got what you paid for. And if it gave you a smile, hey, cool, great. This is episode 514 on the docket, Your Honor. FUD versus FES. Now, I kind of have to explain this one just a little bit. Now, we've talked about FUD on the show several times before, and it's a marketing ploy. And I learned about it when I was having to deal with Microsoft's marketing of stuff back in the day. I can get away with saying that because we're talking about back in the day of like Windows 95 being previewed. Anyway, FUD in this case stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And it's a way of, trying to scare someone into reacting a certain specific way. Not exactly the Batman gambit, but it's more a matter of swaying someone away from moving where they are, because if you move away from where you are, bad things will happen, because you don't know what you don't know. In this case, I'm going to pit that against FES, Fraternity, Empathy, and Sympathy. No, nobody else came up with that one. I coined it myself. I don't know that it's been used before. I don't care, because it fits the bill. Fraternity, empathy, and sympathy is supposed to be how you have, well, a society, a functional society that cares for itself and its members, so that you have people being fed, clothed, housed, educated, protected, maybe even healed. And it's supposed to be a way of making sure that once upon a time ago, as it used to be said, leave the world better for your next generation. Make them have it better than you had it. And for some sick unknown reason, there is a sliver of the population that just refuses to take on the responsibility of FES anymore. Now, there's a good possibility for a lot of reasons as far as to why, but I'm kind of wondering, and we're kind of going to hash out a little, or at least start off there, and I'm going to get away with saying it this time. Why the fuck would you choose FUD over FES? Those of you that are watching over on YouTube, you saw exactly what I did. FUD versus FES. It's an easy choice when you think about it in just a plain, simple, oh, let's just look at the facts. But as I'm sure Brigid is going to remind me, facts seem not to exactly be in grand, whopping supply for so many of these people right now.
Yeah. That is putting it mildly.
Yeah. It's annoying. It is heavy duty and annoying. Before we got started with the show, there were a couple of things that we talked about between each other. I'm not going to give up all the behind the scenes secrets, but I can tell you something that I was remembering because of what we were talking about. With my job, since I'm outside, I deal with people driving up all the time, so I could see all these cars with various stickers on them because people decide that it's okay to, kind of put these things on their car. Now, I full disclosure, I have one on my car that says, I'm proudly godless because why not? So I've got my thing on there. But if there is one sticker that I have seen on a vehicle, I'm not gonna say what kind of vehicle, just on a vehicle, is the one that says, in the shape of the continental United States, with the stars and stripes going across the lettering, "Go home, we're full." Can I just tell you that there are several choice expressions in Italian that are simply finger motions that I would love to be able to use, but unfortunately, since I'm in the professional moment, I'm disallowed from using.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Are you
Io.
asking me?
Well, hold on one second. Io, hi, you're back.
Just for a little bit. I popped up at Granville and I'm going to check a couple stores out.
Fair enough. All right. So, in that case, let me get you now, so that we don't have to worry too much about your timing on answering. Have you seen stickers on cars and whatnot, sentiments like that you would like to point out and just say how absolutely insipid they are?
I've been listening and I'm a little confused, but that's okay. I'm allowed to be confused.
Meaning you don't know what I just specifically mentioned about.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't looking at the screen at the time and I had just popped up Granville in Georgia.
Okay. Well, in that case, Brigid, you go ahead. You kind of fill in and you tell me which ones you've seen that you have tried to hold down the bile from.
I have not seen any bumper stickers because, mostly I'm inside. But one thing that really disgusts me is seeing truck drivers and other people come into where I work on the weekends, which is a, truck stop, travel center, whatever you want to call it, one of the big stores. Uh, and seeing people walk in with, I'm voting for the felon, or pictures of Trump after he was
Oh,
supposedly almost assassinated, and things like that makes me want to hurl. And then people actually tell me, unsolicited, it's not supposed to be political, but unsolicited, they'll ask me, well, do you have problems with Mexicans coming in here that you can't understand? Trump's going to get rid of all that. And it just
ah,
makes me want to bitch slap them.
yeah, those. We've seen a few down in California, and those. We act very polite, and we try not to activate them because if they activate them, they could be painful to us.
Mm-hmm.
Golden Gouge, no, it's after 9, it will be closed. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just thinking about places that I know here. Golden Age Collectibles, the Hudson Bay Company, Pacific Center, and all that. Half the landmarks that I used to are gone. Oh well. But yeah, we've seen those bumper stickers, and they kind of scare us. What's worse is people wearing the hats and the shirts. And I saw a Bush Reagan shirt today on the plane.
I mean, you know what? You wanna elect a dead guy? I mean, I don't believe that.
Well,
Well,
I
wait a
could,
minute. Wait a minute.
Double,
Wait a
double
minute.
dead guy, because I believe Bush Senior is dead.
but I could see somebody wearing that as a statement, as saying that, yes, I'm old school GOP and this new MAGA thing is just crazy. I can see
Yeah,
that as a statement of that.
yeah. I mean, we found out afterwards that Reagan was
Yeah,
not a good person.
not a good person, but I
We'll just leave it at
wonder
Reagan
that.
was a fine president. The more he slept, the safer we were.
No, that's fine.
That's a quote from Arlo Guthrie.
That
but
is
the shenanigans that he pulled, trying to make sure that the hostages weren't released until after the election was, bull, and then the whole Iran Contra thing, and
yeah.
there was, yeah.
Yeah. Um, what I was just kind of umming about is that there is not a thing that says that a dead person can't run for the office of president. Now, you do need to be able to sign your name for whatever state election board to, to get yourself in. But you know, it's one of those things where I'm just suddenly realizing we don't have a thing on the books for you can't run a dead guy for president in the Constitution, because it's an otherwise absurd concept. And yet the absurdities keep happening, don't they? I'm not saying that anybody's running a dead guy. It's just that the what would otherwise have been the cultural norms have been put aside because reasons. And I did double check and look it up. The fact that there's that kind of sentiment happening over there in California like pisses me off in a way I cannot describe, because California used to be part of Mexico once upon a time ago. So, and California was protected by Zorro. So, I mean, what's not to like?
Well, it states hugely about the American education system when people say that New Mexico is part of Mexico.
Okay. That one's an old trope. The problem is, I wish that I could actually say that it really is just untrue. I wish I could say that definitively.
It's not just that, it's also that Guam and Puerto Rico are US territories, Hawaii and Alaska are part of the US. Like that. The lack of education just cringes. Now I'm trying to find a bath bomb because I want to have a nice bath tonight.
Well, here's something interesting. A Wikipedia category, politicians elected posthumously.
Okay.
Now, there are no presidents that are listed on there,
Well,
but
no.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is the occasional person that, you know, in the middle of running or before the ballots can be changed out, entropy takes its toll. It happens. I mean, we've said it before. You know, my car was running fine yesterday, and then all of a sudden I turned the key and it didn't start today. Well, that's kind of what happened to Grandpa. It happens. The piece about that, however, that pisses me off, the other side of that equation. I don't remember who it was or where exactly it was, but there was someone who was terminal, sent in their absentee ballot, and died before election day. And some group, I can't remember exactly who, so I'm not going to name guilty parties, fought to have their ballot invalidated because they did not live to election day. So their vote was scrubbed. That brings me to wonder if someone cast their vote on election day and subsequently I don't know, they got into a car accident that was beyond severe. Would they push to have their vote invalidated? You know, maybe it happened while they were driving back from the polling station. Would they fight to have the vote canceled?
Depends on the state. But one of these that I linked in here was a guy who actually died during his first term, and then he was reelected to another term after he was dead.
Was he basically unopposed and the incumbent, therefore can't brought on?
Doesn't say. It said he was a politician for the Democratic Party and was a member of the House of Representatives and died in office of colon cancer, but was subsequently reelected posthumously. Isn't that interesting?
Well, I mean, there was a town that elected a cat to be mayor, so sure.
That's great.
That was what?
There was one that elected a dog to be mayor too, and apparently it was several times.
I'm on board with that. I'm on board with that. Of course, there is the small problem of well, okay, so if you were to sign your name as a dog or a cat, would it be a paw print or a nose print? I think it's the nose print that would qualify. God, it's just too weird. So, trying to get back on track here, just not because I want to bring it down, but because I think there's a way of actually navigating the fun part of it all. Um, the whole fear, uncertainty, doubt thing. Like I said, it's a marketing ploy. If there's one thing that we've learned about we Americans, it's that we are an incredibly reactive group for whatever reason. Proactive opportunities can be there, but we just tend not to bother with it because why bother? Why do anything until you have to? And then it's suddenly a big time left hand turn, figuratively speaking, to change anything, assuming that you can get enough of a group to agree to start turning the wheel. So the idea of the whole fraternity, empathy, sympathy thing, that's a proactive, that's a building, that is a long-term thing. That is an investment. And if there's one thing that we've learned, like I said, we Americans are really bad when it comes to like investing societally, or at least it seems to be that way over the last, oh God, I can't believe I'm going to say this, over the last 40 years. Which brings us back to Reagan again. A dipwad.
The more he slept, the safer we were.
One of the things, and Brigid, you would easily remember this one. One of the things that Reagan did that really started to have me as a kid realizing that stuff's not great because he's elected. I'm 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Was when the air traffic controllers in the United States went on strike because of the working conditions being massively, massively stressful. And he federalized the air traffic controllers and summarily fired them countrywide and replaced them.
Yep.
Just all of a sudden said, "Yep, you know what? I'm just gonna write a thing over here, federalize them. Okay, cool. You guys were all fired. Go away. We're putting new air traffic controllers in across the country. Don't need you anymore."
Yep, I remember that.
And even as a kid, like I said, I'm 11 years old, and whenever the hell it was that he did that, and even for me as a kid, I'm like, what just happened here? So these guys who are like, yeah, we need somebody who's rock solid and strong and doing things right, like Reagan used to do. My dude, I don't think that you've looked at history in anything that approaches a book. He did a lot of weird shit. And how we didn't end up in a worldwide war is truly astounding to me to this day.
Yeah, especially with his attacks on Grenada.
Stephanie's pointing out, and rightly so, Reagan was an actor. He just followed the script that they gave him.
Yep.
Yeah, in a huge way, yeah. And Ronald Reagan, some of his most famous works, which I will admit I don't know them individually, don't care. He did Wild West stuff, Wild Westerns.
Okay, I gotta go again because about to hit the big train, the big noisy train.
No worries. Safe travels, hon.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for keeping him honest, Brigid.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, once upon a time ago, Reagan he did whatever the hell it was that he did. It wasn't all good. I can't say it was all bad, but it definitely wasn't great. He set into motion shit that we are still reeling and trying to settle from, 40 years later. And probably the worst of it all, and this is where it kind of finally comes into the topic wise. The much fabled trickle-down economics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know economics really well. I learned a little bit. I did not pass an economics course I tried to take, and it didn't really work well for me. But even I understood. Again, reminding you, I was a kid, that the premise of trickle-down economics was bullshit. I'm not giving you nearly enough talk time. You wanna kind of explain in a nutshell the concept of what trickle-down economics is supposed to do, how it's supposed to work?
How it's supposed to work is that the wealthy people at the top who get all the tax breaks and things like that use that money to invest in their business and hire more people, and it stimulates the economy because they create more jobs. But it hasn't worked out that way because what these people do is take the extra money and put it in their pockets, and it does nothing for the economy. It hurts it because it doesn't create jobs, and they take their profits and they offshore them so they don't have to pay taxes on them. But it was supposed to be that whatever's at the top eventually trickles down to the bottom and, raises all boats to the, same level, but it has never worked and it never will work, and Republicans are still trying to use that, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, looking it up, apparently there are versions of this concept that date back to before the 20th century. According to what I'm looking up, the 1896, apparently there is the description for the very same or very similar concept. So it's not that it's a new idea, it's just that it got incredibly popularized because of Reagan, because, well, President of the United States has got one of the biggest megaphones in the world. It's kind of hard to ignore him. And if there's one thing that we've learned over the years, at this point in time, or at least again for the last 40 years, easy, the Republican Party of the United States has been very pro big business. I'm not going to say pro business, because if you've got a small business,
They don't care about you.
not nearly as much, no, because you're literally small potatoes. All right, figuratively small potatoes, because you don't have that much money that you're moving around, so who cares? You don't have stocks that they can invest in and make a killing on Wall Street later. Not that they're supposed to do that, because that would be wrong. So any opportunity to, just help influence the biggest buckets and just keep increasing the size of the top bucket. So as somebody well, you know what? Stephanie's got it right. Io also. Io saying trickle down just means that the rich piss on the poor. Stephanie pointing out, we all know what was trickled down. Uh, Great minds think alike on that one. And I was also pointed out, yeah, they were supposed to invest. Instead, they hoarded.
Hmm.
And part of the reason for that is that the tax brackets were changed. Now, I'm
Hmm.
not trying to get into an economics thing here. I'm trying to show how all the stuff works out. What I what I learned about economics, income tax specifically, from like the 30s and the 40s, was that when you got over a certain bracket, and it was a fairly sizable bracket, you started getting charged upwards of 90+% on what it was that you were making at that point, over a certain threshold. Now, reminding folks, in the United States, it's a graduated taxing system. You make up to a certain amount, you're taxed whatever percentage on that amount. The next grouping up, in however much you pull in, you're taxed a certain amount on that much that you've made. Not the whole thing, just the next the next group of money. And so on and so on and so on. So if you gained and didn't invest, you know, so much money, you got up to a point where, you're taxed like upwards of 90+% once you get over, whatever those top levels are. So for those companies especially, it was more advantageous for them to simply spend money from the top, invest it in their people, in whatever it was they were doing, especially manufacturing, in order to pay less in taxes, which then did properly invest in the rest of, well, society. Because it went to the customers, it went to the production, it went to the staff, to the manufacturers, it went back into circulation. The money kept flowing. You take that out of the equation, and, well, again, as was pointed out, suddenly there's hoarding of wealth. And when you take into account that, as we pointed out before, Smaug the dragon, who lived on a mountain of gold, would have his hoard dwarfed by an equivalent gold by some of the most wealthy people today. Yeah, that's no, man, that's wrong. That's just wrong.
Well, because of the old tax structure, that's why we have national interstate system.
Yeah, it's part of the reason why NASA was able to do what it did, getting the Gemini missions, getting the Apollo missions to work. It was an investment. The various infrastructures, yeah, the interstate highway systems, theoretically some rail, although really, really, really like to see that high-speed rail system that we've seen maps of, joining like New York City to, well, basically New York City to LA on a high-speed rail. I mean, damn, that would be great. That'd be great.
That also gave us a middle class too.
It was possible for a single person to work an 8-hour day, come home, and what they earned would fund a house, a car, a family of 4 or 5, with amenities, with vacation, and be able to fund that
Mhm.
and still have savings left over
Yep.
for college. And even better, you could actually, once upon a time ago, actually work concurrent with being in college and not have to kill yourself in order to pay for it.
Hmm.
And all that, again, was investment in society. And back in those days, it was considered that the United States was like the beacon of everyone else in the world. We were the ones where the roads were paved with gold. Yeah, not exactly. Or at least not now. Because it's all been melted up so that everybody could hoard what little that they've got all over the place. But now there is an opportunity to bring back fraternity, empathy, and sympathy again. We will, as an official part of HCTV, because it is effectively it is my show more than anybody else. I will say on behalf of HCTV, not that that means a hell of a lot, we want you to vote. Do we want you to vote a certain way? Of course we do. But when all is said and done, we collectively, and I know full well Brigid is completely 100% on board with me on this one, we want you to vote, even if you are not voting in the same scope that we are, with the same values. We want you to vote, right?
Yeah. Women in this country have not always had the right to vote. And the way that I look at it, I mean, there are people in other countries who literally risk their lives to vote, and they do it anyway. People need to exercise that right.
Yeah. And reminding folks, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution is one that it's misquoted or misunderstood, that it gave women the right to vote. But it was white, affluent women. It wasn't until later that it was finally distributed more evenly for women of color, of heritage, of different, I mean, hell, it was tooth and nail trying to get representation for the natives, the Native Americans, to be able to have a voice in the local politics around them. And they still have been shafted over the centuries. So,
No, they were shafted last election.
Yeah.
After the Supreme Court decided that we didn't need the Equal Voting Rights Amendment anymore.
Yeah. I always got a thing over here, by the way, and I hate to do this one. I always got vote. No one can go into the booth but you.
True.
You know, those old-timey pull the lever, have the curtain go behind you voting booths, they don't exist anymore. And they used to be made here in Buffalo, believe it or not. And I missed them. I was lucky enough, I was able to vote in them a couple of times while we were up here. Tiny Tribble was able to come into the booth with me a couple of times. Wasn't able to vote exactly, although I did, lift him up because, small enough, and had him, reach over and, tick the thing, and made sure that they were all right. Oh, I hit the wrong one, Dad. Is that okay? No, it's okay. Look. Oh, okay. I hit the right one. Cool. Okay. We all done? We got everything? Okay, cool. They've stopped using those because they are an absolute nightmare to set up and maintain because it's all mechanical. There's literally no paper trail possible. Which, I mean, from a security standpoint, it's cool that you don't have a paper trail, but from a standpoint of security, it's really not good that you don't have a paper trail. You know what I mean? Because if anything
Well,
goes wrong, how do you know? How do you figure that out? There's no way to know.
well, I just find it interesting that one of the most asked questions from women this year is, can my husband find out how I voted?
Ooh,
Or were you aware of that?
I had not heard about that. I mean, I know that I've seen the not exactly the meme thing, but the put it out there thing about, you can go out there and you can vote your conscience. It doesn't matter because nobody can be over there with you. Nobody knows but you. Nobody knows your voice but you. And
But yeah, there have been a lot of women asking, can my husband find out how I voted?
ooh, shit. Um,
Hmm.
I
And
didn't.
people are telling them, no, it's a secret. But the only concern is like if you're voting in by mail and you happen to live with a husband who's, say, MAGA adjacent or whatever, that might influence women's votes. But a lot of women have been concerned about that live in quote unquote red, you know, states or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's been discussed on a lot of boards and asking Quora and asking all sorts of places.
Damn.
Hmm.
I never thought to check into that because I mean, like I said, I had seen for a while the thing that just generically putting it out there just to remind people as a passive thing. I never thought to go looking for the trending to find out how that's peaked at this point.
It has. It's been a concern.
And this election specifically, yeah. Um, wow, that's terrifying.
Hmm.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, Salon has had an article on it. Can my husband find out who I'm voting for? It's been Byline Times, NPR. Uh, News and Observer has carried it. Axios has carried it. Yeah, I mean, it's been even on Reddit and Washington Post. I mean, it's been a big topic.
And rightly so. I mean, there's a couple of different pieces about that, and Io is saying a couple of things. Children are okay because you're teaching them civic responsibility. Yes, it was part of the reason for it. And I wish I could speak. I know. Don't worry about it. We'll. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, we're not gonna get everything that you want hit. I'm doing our best. Um. Damn. And the thing of it is, um, I wish there was a surreptitious way for people to invalidate a mail in such a manner that it would be an automatic trigger that they be contacted by the elections board so that they get told there was a problem with your ballot. We're going to need for you to come in to cast it. Oh, okay. This way, if they were worried that somebody was going to look it over in some way to maybe doctor it, steam open the envelope and whatever, that there would be a cover story so that they'd be able to, still go in and do their thing behind closed doors, shall we say.
Yeah, kind of like some kind of a help I'm being coerced kind of code or something. Yeah.
Or what is it? Ordering a special drink at a bar. An angel, blonde angel, some whatever the hell it is. But there's supposed to be a drink that you can order, um, that indicates to whoever it is that's running the bar that you need help one way or another, so that you don't,
Mhm.
Wow. God, I can't believe that we have to think in these terms. Fuck.
I'm surprised you were not aware of
I,
that.
I like I said, as a passive thing, I've seen it before, and this I have to admit my ignorance on this one.
Uh,
Um,
I'm glad I could help.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
No. Yeah. And fuck me. Okay. I had an interaction a while ago on Facebook. I'm not going to discuss the particularities, but I got jumped on because I did not understand growing up a particular situation. That's a little bit too vague. The discussion had come up about how actors back in the day, young actors, going back into the late 40s, seemed to be in movies together and were married because they met on a set and they got married and they had a great career making movies together for a number of years until and it was pointed out that a lot of these back in the day, all these romances, they were manufactured by the studios in order to get people sympathetic and wanting to see these movies to drum up more business. And I pointed out that, you know what, growing up, I didn't think about it. I thought it was kind of weird that so many of them, had romantic things happen on sets, but I mean, they're working together. They're on sets. They're in close proximity. I could see that as possible. And I got jumped hard, especially when I pointed out that, through a lot of time with this stuff, when I was thinking about it, I was a kid, really. I didn't really think about it. And it didn't trip anything for me. And over the decades, I really hadn't really thought about it. Because, actors and whatnot from, the late 40s, early 50s, I didn't think twice about it because I didn't think about it for decades. And I got shat on for what was truly my ignorance on the topic. And again, reminding everybody, when I use the term ignorance in a situation like this, I'm talking about the actual literal definition that I didn't know what I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I plead actual ignorance in this situation, that I did not know that it was being actively searched out like that. I did not know. And in retrospect, it makes perfect sense right now. But I didn't even think about it, and I will go ahead and I will admit, not only was I ignorant, I think a good portion of it is because I am one of those lucky individuals through circumstance that doesn't have to worry about it. I mean, yeah, I don't exactly have an overbearing wife right about now. I mean, she's kind of, desiccated. So it makes it a little bit easier on me that she can't, go steaming open envelopes and seeing how I voted. These are the jokes, folks. This is as good as it gets from a widower. Leave me alone. But yeah, damn shit. Wow. That bothers me.
Yeah.
That bothers me in a way a visceral way that I can't even describe.
Yeah, but that's where we are, and women are scared.
Yeah, women are scared because the men will hurt them, especially women with Republican husbands.
Yeah.
Back when I was doing polls, I don't remember if I was a poll clerk, a voting officer or a supervisor. I don't think it was when I was a supervisor or even a spare. A guy came up with his wife and refused to let her vote without him there to vote. And he was the one that actually handled her ballot. I could tell from what I was seeing from my point of view and what I was watching behind the ballot box.
Damn it.
Oh, I just about had a hissy fit at him. Oh, but she doesn't speak English. I need to translate for her. Doesn't matter if she speaks English or not. It's supposed to be her touching the ballot, not you.
This was up in Canada, right?
Yeah, about 20 years ago.
Okay. Now, reason why I'm asking that very, very plainly, which should otherwise be yeah, dumbass, question, is because I would assume that the ballot would be simultaneously printed English and French minimally. No?
Not really. It's the name of the person and maybe their party. I don't remember. I would have to check my fake ballots that I kept, whatever, from an election years ago that was used as training manual stuff. I kept them because I wanted to show people, especially people in the States, this is what we do. It's simple.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking is because she doesn't speak English. Okay. What language do they speak? Most common, hold on. Most common in Canada, as I recall, would typically be English and French, at least to the east. I don't know what secondaries would be more common to the west.
That couple, I believe, were Indian, from India. So they could have been either Punjab, Hindu, or Muslim. And I'm just going by what I remember of their clothing. She was dressed beautifully, him not so much.
Mm.
Yeah.
But
There's a casino here. I think I'm going to go to the casino and take a cab. It's pouring.
Hun, there's an expression in casinos. The house always
I'm going
wins.
to the casino. I'm going to the casino to ask them to call me a cab.
That shouldn't be tough. That's fair.
Yeah, that shouldn't be tough at all.
God, what do we do in a situation like that, though? Memory serves, here in the U.S., what I remember, at least for my ballots here in New York, reminding you New York State, Erie County, all the way, all the way on the left side of New York. If memory serves, it's English with, I think, Spanish as like the fine script kind of thing. And if memory serves, there's information that says in various other languages, if you need assistance, call a phone number or something like that. I am not a poll worker, so I don't know how that would end up working. Wow, that gets real tangled real fast. I don't know how to. Wow, damn! I've never had to think about. Thinking about a whole bunch of new things over here. You know what?
Back in a minute. I found a taxi number. Okay.
Okay. There you go. Stephanie's also got another piece over here. And actually, I think this kind of helps out a little bit. Saying, in the UK, things are simpler. We have old-fashioned voting. We get paper ballots, which we tick with an indelible pencil. We have enough staff at the polling stations to ensure no interference. We also have postal voting. Oh, and manual counting, which is impressive to watch. Where I vote, we get a paper ballot, long one, with everything spelled out. You use a standard pen, so a rollerball pen. So just doesn't matter what the brand is, whatever the brand is. So, and the idea is that you fill in a circle, almost like it's what we call over here a Scantron. I don't know if it's the same thing that you'd use over there also. Scantron being the old number 2 pencil, fill in the circle, feed it into the machine when you're trying to answer questions on a multiple choice test, and you've got like hundreds to put through the machine to grade. So I get mine. I'm given the ballot form and an oversized folder, so that after I fill it in, I put it into the middle of the folder so that nobody can see what I filled in. Turn it upside down, feed it into the machine, which then sucks it in, tabulates the numbers. The paper goes and stacks inside, so it keeps a running electronic tally of what has been counted, and at close of polls, the electronic numbers are called in, and then the hand confirmation happens to make sure that the numbers actually match, so that if there is an error, it can be caught and the numbers updated with another phone call. But otherwise, the preliminary numbers go in, and that's what you get. Secretary of State's got it. Cool. And that's why I've hated some of the methods that we've used over the years over here. Brigid, what you spent a little time in the military. How does voting work when you're in the military? Because the vast majority of people are not, quote unquote, home during elections when they happen, because, well, most people don't get stationed to commute from home to work.
Well, you go to somebody who's appointed, like a first sergeant or somebody like that, who authorizes your ID and gives you a ballot, and you mail it to your home state.
And it seems a simple enough system to work with. I am looking for... the... Well, God, this is just freaking annoying. I'm trying to find the sample ballot for... Why? This is just insane. I'm sorry. Okay, if there's one thing that I've learned, I hate some of these websites that are supposed to help you try to do your thing, and then they've got advertising pop-ups that you can't get out of in order to properly close that window.
Yeah.
I'm guys, just I know what I'm looking for. Stop fucking around with me. God, freaking. Oh. All right, so maybe I can find voting examples. Partnership. Fine. I want New York. Registration deadlines by mail, in person. Where are drop boxes? Early voting. Where? You know, one of these days. One of these days. Never mind. You know what? So much for me trying to and view sample ballot. There we go. View polling look. God, you know, all right, fine. You know what? Not going to be bothered. Not going to be bothered. I tried. Can't find the information I'm looking for. You know what? Screw this noise. Anyway. Oh, and Stephanie's also pointed out, we also have postal voting, and manual counting, which is impressive to watch. Locked box, not lock it. Yeah, about that. Before we got started tonight, Brigid and I were commiserating about the ballot drop boxes here in the U.S. and how we're finding out that some of them are targets for people.
Yeah, I think the one where somebody set them on fire only destroyed like 20 ballots, but still.
But still. And again, like I told her, you know, at the time also when we were talking about it, listening to the guys at Cognitive Dissonance talking about it, and they're basically like, oh, that was great. You know what? What better opportunity to get rid of only a handful of ballots, and now you've got the feds involved in tracking your ass down. Go you. I'm paraphrasing, of course, highly, but still, the point still, you know.
Yeah, there have been instances too of people, putting their mail-in ballots in the mailbox and having, you'll never guess which party affiliation coming behind them and stealing them.
Unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable to me. Because the facts don't matter. I mean, how else can we describe this? You know, and I want to make sure that we also clarify on this. It is the MAGA arm of the Republican Party
that are doing this. Yep.
We will not blame the entire Republican Party for these events. We will, however, blame the Republican Party for not doing jack shit about it.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to. What's the expression? If you sit down to dinner with 10 Nazis and you don't do anything about it, there are 11 Nazis sitting at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody wants to get on my case about it, might I also remind you that once upon a time ago, not too very long ago, Godwin him fucking self said Godwin's rule doesn't apply anymore. Yep. These people are Nazis. If nothing else, indeed, if not in actual affiliation. Because the Nazi Party doesn't exist anymore because they were wiped out in Germany. A new Nazi Party, so to speak, in the U.S. is what the MAGA arm of the Republican Party is. Which means, guess who's the new Nazi Party? The guys who did jack shit about it. Way to go, guys. Way to go.
Well, and they're fascists too.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah, they're doing everything that they can for the Christian nationalists, because that's what they've been fighting for. All these wedge issues. Every time, everybody has always said, this is a wedge issue. This is the slippery slope. This is what's going to be happening. No, it's going to be fine. You'll see. And well, kind of played out exactly the way that it's been yelled about for the last, I don't know, 15
40 years.
Well, 40 years, yeah. I was thinking a little bit more like 15, because it's been moving harder and harder and quicker and quicker. But there's a certain point where gravity starts taking over. But they want to build stuff down.
Well, I mean, it's the new Apostolic Reformation movement, and you've got 6 SCOTUS people who are involved in this. If you think back to the 2008 elections, when you had Sarah Palin, Michelle Bachmann, Rick Santorum, they're all part of that movement.
Yeah.
So is Mike Johnson. I mean, they're just more blatant with it now, but it's been with us for a long time.
That's true. It's true. And God,
there was a book that came out in 2010 by Michelle Goldberg, and it was called Kingdom Coming, but it was talking about the uprise of this Christian nationalism movement.
God, Rick Santorum, there's a name I haven't heard in a long time, and not nearly long enough.
Yeah, and Huckabee was part of that. Pence was part of it. Everybody that ran as a GOP candidate in 2012 were part of it. I mean, this has been in the makings for a long time. And even back then, a third of our Congress critters were involved in this movement. I mean, it's been around longer than you think.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, up a wall down the other side.
I made it.
Welcome back.
Made it home.
And if
Back to the
anybody
hotel.
wants to do more Googling on this, you can Google the Seven Mountains Mandate, Christian Reconstructionism, the New Apostolic Reformation. I mean, yeah, you can lose yourself in some wormholes, but it's deep, and they've had this plan. They've had this plan since the Bircher Society to take over the government and business and all that, and they're on the cusp of getting it. They may have already gotten it.
Yeah,
and
and
it depends on how the elections turn out.
Yeah, and let's also remind you folks, if you start going down some of these rabbit holes and doing these research, and we're not gonna talk about which pathway you find yourself going down. If you find yourself truly getting stressed out, hyperventilating, getting panic attacked, yes, those are like getting over a particular line, but you start feeling these kinds of things starting to happen, stop. Just stop. Sure, yeah, your brain might still go a mile a minute, but really give yourself an opportunity to not intentionally harm your psyche. Please, just there's plenty of opportunities, plenty of ways to learn about some of this stuff in gentler ways. We don't want you to, regardless of how you're going to vote, we don't want you to get yourself so incredibly stressed out that you just throw up your hands and say, why should I even bother? Don't fall down into that particular. Just, we still want you to vote. Again, we care which way the vote goes, but we want everybody that can should vote, even if we lose. But if we lose because the actual numbers were not on our side, that's at least fair. We won't like it, but what's fair is fair.
The scary thing was part of the rabbit hole that I was diving down yesterday. If Trump gets elected, they're hoping to 25 him.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
saw that.
I'm not sure what 25 means, but I think I do.
25th Amendment, take him out because he's not fit to lead, and insert J.D. Vance.
Yeah, and that is a terrifying prospect because his vice president and him would. Hello, Gilead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear, if that happens, I'm GTFO.
Me too.
Even though I'm probably menopausal, even though I'm probably never going to have another child, I still have the potential. Or worse, they could use my body as an incubator after I die.
It's been done before.
It has been done before.
Yeah, but they haven't done it so that she was impregnated after she died. They've done it because she was already pregnant and the family wanted the fetus to survive.
Well, they've done it to where the family did not want the fetus to survive.
Yeah, that's happened too. Anyway, I'm back. I'm safe. Bye.
All right, you take care of yourself, hon. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There were two different ones that I'm trying to remember. I think one in Florida, one in Texas, or just one in Texas.
The one in Texas was the one where the husband and the family wanted to take her off life support because she was only like 12 weeks pregnant. She was brain dead, and
She was the EMT, as I recall.
mm-hmm.
Um, she did have a thing that she signed off on that said if she, and I'm highly paraphrasing, if she was incapacitated with no possible conceptual way of recovering, that she was not to be given life-sustaining treatment.
Mm-hmm.
A DNR, basically. Do not resuscitate. And the governor, who was one of the Bushes, as I recall, one of the Bush brothers, intervened specifically,
Mm-hmm.
as I recall. And this was a huge power grab that should never have been allowed to happen. Because it was an immediate push for legislation to prevent her body from expiring under its natural state.
Yep.
And in Florida, that was, why is the name Terry Schiavo coming to mind?
She's the one that had been on life support for like 10 years, and she was in a persistent vegetative state. And the family wanted to take her off life support, and the governor said nope. And Bush said nope.
Yeah. So the idea of this being just hyperbolic talk, no,
it's not.
No, it's not. And the scariest part is those happened well before we ended up in the shitstorm that we are now with the Supreme Court, very specifically. Because if it got bumped to the Supreme Court now, I want to say I don't know which way it would go. I want to be able to say that, but there is a terror streak down my back that says, you know exactly which way it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to come down to a 6-3. And
Yeah.
then the precedent will be set for whatever the hell that's worth.
Well, precedent only matters when they want it to.
Yeah. Rules only matter when they decide the rules matter.
And the thing that bothers me about Texas, even though the police technically won't arrest a woman who goes out of state to get an abortion, other people can. And it bothers me that some I can't talk. Municipalities in Texas have made it illegal for a person to drive down certain highways to get out of state to get an abortion. And that's a direct violation of the Commerce Clause. I mean, they're restricting freedom of movement against women.
Specifically, yeah.
And how can that be a thing? That is clearly unconstitutional.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But then they're
But
going to go
yet,
ahead and they're going to
it
couch it
happens.
as we're just doing a health and welfare check on the highway. We're doing a DUI stop check on the highway. Oh, well, we don't think that you're completely lucid. So you come over and we'll do some additional screening for you over here.
Well, there's a lawsuit now where a woman was with an abusive partner and had left him, but she was pregnant when she left him, not very far along, and had gone out of state, to get an abortion. And he found out about it. And so now he's trying to sue her and two of her friends for collusion to get her to Colorado or wherever it was that she went, and suing for millions of dollars and wanting to sue for murder. And of course, he's got what is it? I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the legal foundation behind him that, is run, by far right extremists. Is it
Um,
the Legal Freedom something or the other?
I if
You know who I'm talking about, but I
I
can't.
Yeah, they're the same ones that did it for the coach in Washington State, if I remember right.
Mhm.
Liberty, whatever, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a highfalutin Christian group that only picks up the religious things because they think that they can get something out of it when all is said and done.
Yeah, but they're the ones that's representing him.
On
And he's probably going to win.
so what is there to do? Is really what it comes down to. We've only got a handful of minutes left.
I don't know, but I'm with IO. I'm afraid of this whole place turning into the Republic of Gilead.
And it's fair. It's fair. I hate it. I I don't know nearly enough. I never watched it, haven't read it. I don't know any much more than what I remember Heretic Woman talking about. And the pieces
I
that
can,
she described were positively chilling to me.
yeah, I can give you a very quick synopsis.
Sure.
At first, there was a takeover of the government, and it was supposedly a terrorist attack or something like that. But there was some reason to replace the government. But there was a group called Sons of Jacob that had this plot to take over the government and businesses and all this stuff. So they manufactured whatever reason to do this, and it was a gradual kind of a thing. And women showed up one day, and their bank accounts were frozen, and only the men could control them. They said it was going to be, a temporary emergency until they got things sorted out, but it was not temporary. And then they dissolved the Constitution. And then all of a sudden, boom, there it is.
I mean, kind of like the way that the TSA was supposed to be a temporary thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so this, NAR movement is kind of like the Sons of Jacob, if you were making the comparison. And then the Project 2025 would be implementing the plan. And then boom, there you go. And women have already been reduced to, second-class citizens. And it wasn't that long ago, back in 1974, or it wasn't until 1974 that women in this country could even get their own credit cards in their own name. That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
So it would be, we're going backwards.
And we end up hearing these stories about people who are interviewed by people who are, okay, let's go ahead and call this out properly. The ones who are out there doing the incredible interviews, they're out there doing God's work, as the expression goes. They're the satirists. They're the comedians. These people who are so incredibly smart, intelligent, well-versed in the topics, going out there and getting on the street interviews with these people. When was America great before? Oh, it was probably in the 50s. So before civil rights and before women could have bank accounts of their own and men were allowed to get away with raping their women, their wives, because they were legally allowed to do that. Come the hell on. That's not a functional, healthy society. Functional, yes. But then again, you can have high-functioning drunks as well. Well-functioning drunks. Whatever the goddamn term is, it doesn't really much matter. You know what I mean?
It's what they want to go back to, though. I mean, clearly. I mean, J.D. Vance has come out and said that, he's against divorce, and that even if you're about your spouse is abusive or whatever, you should stay together.
And of course,
I
the
mean, he
question
has come
is,
out and said that.
why? What is he getting out of it? Because as it is, we know full well, his wife is not WASP, not white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. She is, I'm trying to remember, Native American, Central American. She is not the usual waspy type personality. So, and he's gone ahead and said bad things about non-waspy people.
Mm-hmm. They want to install a theocracy or oligarchy or both, whatever you want to call it. And he converted to Catholicism, I think, in 2019. But there is, a hard right branch of Catholicism, and you're looking at Opus Dei and things like that. And he is one of those. So he is fully behind all of this. Want to eliminate no-fault divorce and have women not allowed to work outside the home. You've got this whole trad wife contingent popping up, and I'm like, you people who play into this are so misguided, because if you want to be a trad wife, then here you are with a bunch of kids, no education, no job, and then your husband runs off with the secretary. Then what are you going to do? Leaves you with all these kids, and you have no way to get a job because you don't have the skills and you haven't been in the job market. Then what? And that used to happen a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't get it. And maybe that's the problem. That I am in a situation where, for me, it's simply unfathomable. You know?
Yeah, why would people want this? But apparently they do.
Because, and I'm taking my cue from an image that I saw on some social media or other. For one group, it seems to be, let's win so that we can build everyone up together. And another group is, let's win so that the other guys lose.
Mm-hmm.
So one is all about building up, and the other one's all about spite. And I don't even know what the hell the spite's about. Because I don't know. You know, man, it's one of those things I just don't get it. I wish that I did, so that I could better understand, so I could better explain myself, but it absolutely just eludes me. Because it makes no sense
And
to
part
me.
of it is patriarchy, and part of it is people want some sort of hierarchy in society, and even if they're bad off, if they can beat down on somebody else, then it makes them feel better about themselves.
We got to wrap over here. There anything left that that you want to say on that angle?
I do want to say what I thought was really encouraging is hearing some interviews with some Latino men, and they may say that they support MAGA, but have also said at the end of the day they have to put up with their wives, and their wives will not put up with that foolishness, and so they're going to listen to their wives.
I mean, that's
Which I thought was kind of funny, but cool.
it is, and I have to point out that that is kind of the reverse abusive relationship kind of thing. Even if we like the outcome, but there is something to be said for that too. I'm not trying to put a damper on it, but I mean, I
Well,
do
they're
try to be
listening
fair
to
on it too.
they're listening to their woman.
Yeah, yeah, I'll go with that. And you're quite right. I'm going to finish off with this. Why do they want to continue on with the way that they're looking to vote with this whole FUD thing going on with them? I hate to say it. I really, really, really hate to say it, because I don't want to be right. It is entirely possible that this MAGA extremist group is simply the bullies that grew up. And they're still bullies.
Mm-hmm.
In my own head, it's really hard to argue with that because they've got all the symptoms of it. They want to hurt. They want to damage. They want to push down. They want to fight. They want to cause harm just so that they could cause harm. So long as it doesn't affect them, so long as it doesn't screw over themselves, and even if it does, so long as it causes hurt and harm to someone else, they're all on board for no other reason other than it hurts somebody else. And it doesn't have to have a rhyme or reason after that. I wish to be shown that I'm wrong. But I don't think that I am. Doesn't change the fact that sometimes there's only one good way of dealing with a bully. Fortunately, in just a handful of days, that's exactly what we get to do.
Have to fight back.
Somebody said
Appeasement has never ever worked.
Nope.
And if you cower to the bully, they're going to keep bullying you.
I had to do it once in 6th grade. I had somebody who was constantly tripping me every time we'd go out of the classroom to go to lunch. Told my dad about it. He told me what to do. The next time it happened, I was ready for it. Spun around, grabbed him, put him in a chokehold, walked him back into the classroom where the teacher looked over with a shocked and scared expression, and I threw him back into the classroom, said, "He knows what he did," and walked away. Guess who didn't get tripped ever again?
Yep.
So let's call it a night. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We hope that you had yourselves a good time with us and visiting with Brigid again, because that was kind of cool. And of course, we hope that you got something worthwhile to think about for the week ahead. Of course, as always, over in the chat, Stephanie, thank you, as always. Glad you were able to make it. Timing-wise for Stephanie, clocks apparently changed over there in the UK, so UTC off of their local time is a little off. That's going to be happening for us in the very near future, so just be aware of the UTC time for us on this. Phyllis was there. Hi, hon. You take care of yourself. Good to have you back. Io, thank you for being with us. Hope that you had yourself. Oh, right. She had to take off again. She's up Canada way again, and she's going to be giving me shit, I know full well, because she's going to get the opportunity to get to Harvey's again. For those of you that don't know, Harvey's, if I have the opportunity to go to a burger joint and I'm in Canada, my first choice is Harvey's. Before Five Guys, Harvey's. Five Guys is a close second after that. So there you go.
Okay. I've never had Harvey's.
Well, you've never been up to Canada.
Yeah, I have once.
Wands. I have to fix that sometime.
I know.
So, Brigid, thank you. It has been an exceptionally long time, which means if you've got some saved up, here's your big opportunity, because I keep forgetting to remind everybody who we need to say fuck you to. So, the floor is yours.
I was just sending a message to Io. She said Democrats are campaigning in Canada to get the U.S. abroad voters to vote. And we've had some UK Labour Party people over here on their own dime that are campaigning out here too. Oh gosh, I don't even know who the biggest.
Oh, it doesn't have to be. Go for the low-hanging fruit. You got an
I'm
opportunity.
gonna
You've
go
saved it.
for I'm gonna go for Mike Johnson because he keeps calling, keeps bringing out what a horrible weaselly piece of shit he is. He can go fuck himself. And Jeff Bezos, fuck you.
That's fair. I'm also going to remind you, before we got started tonight, we had the chance of kind of chatting up a little bit. One of the things that I had mentioned to her was that I don't want to trust polls anymore. The idea that this presidential race right now is quote unquote a nail biter, that it's quote unquote close according to the quote unquote polls. What I said to you was that I don't know who to pick, who to trust anymore, because I don't know what newspaper anymore is considered properly and officially, well, not officially, properly, the Journal of Register anymore.
We don't have one. I'm just being true. I mean, New York Times and Washington Post, since they have been acquired by other individuals, have definitely taken a far right lean and have propped up Trump at every opportunity, bashed on Biden's age, which does not seem to be an issue with Trump, even though he's old and off his rocker. But yeah, I don't think we have a paper of record anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a free press anymore. And I don't know if it's because they're sucking up to Trump for some reason, or if it's they're afraid of retribution if he should win, since he has threatened journalists or whatever. But I hate to tell people, if you're sucking up to Trump because you are afraid he's going to win, he's going to destroy you anyway. It doesn't matter. And if you happen to think that he's not going to come after you and the leopards are not going to eat your face, you're wrong. Horribly, horribly wrong. He would throw Ivanka under the bus if he thought it would save him and not think twice about it.
Cheated on one wife with a future wife, cheated on that wife with porn star, said that he'd date his own daughter 10 years in the future because she was underage, which, according to some court reports, that wouldn't have been an issue for him. I think it's fair to say that the entire tacit GOP group can just go fuck itself too while we're at it. I think that'd be fair.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and go with that. Thank you, everybody. You have yourselves a good week ahead. Please be safe. Please be careful. I'll explain in a couple moments. If you'd like to be in touch with us, best way is to take a swing over to our Discord. More than happy to have you over there. Links are over in the show notes. Holycrapthevlogcast.com. Of course, we've still got that. This is the time of the season, like I've said, coming up on Halloween, that some people will decide that it's kind of fun to throw pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns, into oncoming traffic from over high at night. If you're driving at night, highway overpasses, please be exceptionally attentive and careful. If you're going over these overpasses and you see something kind of squirrely, something probably not quite right, get over to the other side and just stop and sit on your brake pedal. That should be enough to get people to just move it along so that they don't get caught. One of the things that I used to do was pumpkin patrol for the ham radio group for the New York State Thruway Authority. We would watch. Part of that training was seeing pictures of what happens, the aftermath of those collisions. Don't become one of those statistics, please. Otherwise, we will be looking forward to seeing you again next week. So, until that point, as always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. Wish you well. Of course, my lady. Over 19 years later, I am still in love. Oh, Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone, as always. Good night.